show everybody the ABC song, because I love the ABC song.
The origin of this came from hosting erotic shows, and a lot of people terrible with erotica. I try to show folks if you got the right touch, you can make anything pop.
Oh yes, you can.
So, B C D E F G H I J K L M N O Nathan P Q R S T U V W X Y Z. Now, I know my ABC, but next time, don't you recite with me.
Love it. Thank you.
The whole boogie down. And I go by corporate takeover. My name is Dirty Domestic.
Hello everybody out there, and welcome to the Stealth.TV series. I'm your host, Dirty Promessa, and I have the wonderful, talented spoken word artist that I ran into for many years from now, I know, Nathan Pearson.
What's
How
up,
you
brother?
doing? How you doing today? Thank you for coming out to the Stealth.TV show. I'm honored to have you sitting down right there at the table at this wonderful restaurant that we try to shoot it out off location instead of the mini studio. So I'm thankful for you coming out. Just to let my viewers know about Nathan P, which I call him, I refer to him as. Basically, born 1964 in Brooklyn. Was born at Brooklyn Women's Hospital. Born and bred, lived in Flatbush, also Crown Heights, and now resides in Bed-Stuy. So as a kid, you told me some little things about you. As a kid in Flatbush, you grew up as a quiet kid and brightful, imaginative, and it helped when you was a kid. You said you was alone as a kid. So a question to you is, Nathan Pearson, in that long time, what are some of the ways you amused yourself as a young lad?
Well, I think I lived in East Flatbush until I was about 10 years old, and there were no other kids my age on the block. So I would spend a lot of time in the house, taught myself how to draw, make up games that I could just play with myself, even though that sounds a little strange. Let me clear that up.
So, is that because you was a single child, or because you the oldest?
Well, I have an older sister. She's 8 years older than me. And an older brother might hang out with a younger brother, but an older sister's not doing the same thing. So I spent a lot of time alone, but just help with the creativity.
Oh, so you answered one of my questions. I was going to ask you if you had a sibling. What is your sister's name, and how's your bond with your sister?
My sister's name is Nadine, and we have a good bond because we have a lot of similarities, a lot of characteristics the same, and through the years we were able to find a common.
Tell me a little bit about your mother and your father. How was they growing up? Were they together, married? You know.
Well, Nathaniel Pearson Sr. is my pops. I'm a junior, and my mother is Elcina Pearson. They were beautiful souls. They were both born and raised in South Carolina.
Oh.
Met up here in New York, but that whole vibe, that whole southern flavor is what influenced our family coming up and what made me the person that I am, as well as my sister, my daughter, my niece, and
So was you born already before they moved up, or you?
No.
You know, you were
No, I think they moved up here in the early 50s.
the 50s. Times were way different, right?
Way different.
So I know, because I have roots of, my mother was black and heritage of down south. Were they strict as parents?
They were strict, but in a way in which they had your future in their mind.
Yeah.
You know, they laid down the laws, they laid down the rules to keep you out of trouble. Emphasize education. My mother was a school teacher. She worked kindergarten and first grade. You know, my father, he was a laborer. He was a garage attendant, but it always showed a strong work ethic. And they had the strong household rules that you had to follow. You know, they would nurture you, they would love you, but at the same time, they'll let you know this is right, this is wrong, and this is in between. Don't go there. You know, they instilled a lot of things in us, especially with me. You know, a sense of style, a sense of presentation, a sense of
And you do have style.
courtesy and
You do have style. Ever since I met you, man. It's been about 3 years now that since I've known you, man. But can you tell me a little more about your father in detail? Like, how do your fondest memories of your father?
Oh man, it's so many. Probably the most long-lasting in the last years of his life. He passed in 2000. But
Sorry to hear that. I'm sorry.
It had nothing to do with it. I don't feel better.
It's just a thing, of,
Just
you know,
messing
my
with you,
condolences, you
Yeah.
know.
But through a series of circumstances in the last couple of years of his life, I actually had to move back home. And it was during that time that I realized how much my father's son I am. You know, the same shows we like to watch, the same habits we like to watch.
Yeah.
You know, the same little things we used to do. And on my mantle in my bedroom, I have a picture of him going back. I think when he first came up to New York, he was in his early 20s.
Yeah, okay.
And he's in a three-piece suit. It's a black and white. And he's sitting with his legs crossed on a pedestal. And he has a fedora tilted to the side. And I wanted to do it before he passed, but I wasn't able to. But after he passed, I took a similar picture and had it placed side by side in frame, just to show that I am my
So you
father.
resemble mostly your father? Or,
I have his personality,
okay.
I have his temperament, but definitely the creative side comes from my mother.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So you was born in 1964. Just some time ago, you know, those were different
Don't
times.
make me sound so old.
Listen,
Sometimes.
I don't make you sound old. It's just what I'm trying to bring up is that it was a different time and era compared to where we at right now in 2015, 2016. So that's why I like to take you back just a little bit. We ain't gonna go back 64 because I'm sure you don't remember too much 64. But let's go to 676. That's the year I was born.
Okay.
I was born in 76, so I just want to know, you know, you was about 12 years. How was it in high school? How was your days in high school?
Well, in 76, I wasn't in high school,
What
but I
you in high
remember, no, I graduated public school.
Yes.
And the reason why I remember the year is because that year I was salutatorian. And I had to give the second speech after graduation. And in that speech, I referenced our special graduation in this year of 1976.
Oh, right.
So I remember that.
Yeah.
And I remember the excitement of the bicentennial.
That centennial, yeah, I also that. So in that time around there, were you dating? Did you have a prom for your junior high school?
Man, I've never been to a prom in my life. I was so girl shy growing up. People don't believe it now.
I can hear because you just smooth with it, man. You're
I
smooth.
grew into the smoothness. But growing up, I don't want to say I was afraid of girls, but I always thought there was a special way you had to talk to them.
Right.
Because I always heard the cats talking about the way you got to be able to rap to the females, you got to be able to rap to them. And I was such a quiet, introverted person, I didn't know what that rap was.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a steady girlfriend until I was like 17 or 18.
Okay.
You know, but as I got older, I got
So
older.
was dating harder back then as it is now, or just because Can you answer that question? Or I know you just told us that you didn't approach the ladies, but was dating harder back in 76, 77, 78?
I would think back now it's harder because your business is everywhere.
Right.
You know, you got Facebook this and Twitter this and this, that, and the third. So everybody's in your business and everybody has an opinion, right, wrong, or awful. So back then, it wasn't as hectic. You just had to work up the nerve, to interact with the young ladies. But it's a harder time now because nothing is private.
So Nathan, in your time with the lady, when you start talking to ladies, have you ever married any siblings, any children of yours?
Well, I was married in 90 and separated in 99, divorced in 2001. But a wonderful, wonderful person. It's just one of those things where as the days go by, you realize this type of relationship is not what's best for you. You know, you're able to separate and still maintain a relationship and a bond.
So you still talk frequently or every blue moon or something?
Periodically.
That's good. It's always good to have friendship with, you know, with people that you grew up with. You practically grow up with any relationship you have. So any children? No?
No children.
No children? How you get away with that, man? So I documented some history in 1976 because it was a bicentennial year, like you said. Some of the things that were happening that year was inflation, problems around the world. Microsoft was formed, Apple was formed by Steve Jobs. South Africa riots in Soweto, June 16th. 32 black African nations boycotted Montreal Olympics and protest to continue sporting links between New Zealand and South Africa. Any of these things I'm telling you right now, can you remember them in history time of your lifetime?
Yeah, Lord, you're thorough. 76, I was 12.
Yeah.
So none of that was on my radar.
No, it was on your radar. I just try to get deep into the year.
But I do remember the gas prices.
So we'll be right back with Nathan P after these commercials.
Yo, what up? This is LAV from the BX, which farms in East Tremont. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here showing love to my man Dirty Promessa and Takeover Promotions for putting my video up there. Shit's gonna be the hottest shit you will ever fucking see in your life, yo. This is bad motherfucker. LAV, you already know.
Yeah, it's LAV.
One is bad motherfucker.
Check it. I wanna kill Father Time, I wanna rape Mother Earth. I wanna fuck a pregnant bitch, rock before she gives birth. I wanna poke the baby in the head and make the water burst. For what it's worth, I just wanna make situations worse. I wanna be dressed in white while I'm driving around with a black hearse. Run over the next bitch nigga that I see spit in a wet verse. I wanna rape a virgin just so I can say that I was her first. Walk with a lip and pull out the biscuit on Fred Durst. I spit witchcraft, everything I say is a curse. Unrehearsed, I just wanna say whatever fucking works. I wanna be the reason for your non-existence. I wanna shoot you while I'm on the phone. Long distance or up close, it'll make a difference. Cause one minute you're here, the next you'll be gone in an instant. Fact or fiction, I'll cause you an affliction. I spit so dope, it'll probably cause you an addiction. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest, the biggest, the baddest, the sickest, the fattest. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest that ever did it, the hottest that ever spit it. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest, the biggest, the baddest, the sickest, the fattest. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest that ever did it, the hottest that ever spit. I wanna kill a woman's husband, I wanna fuck somebody's wife, I wanna wreck someone's home, I wanna destroy somebody's life. I wanna give a woman equal rights, let her be the man, because that means I can beat her the same way I'll beat a man. I wanna clock a random nigga with just one right hand, poke the bitch and keep it moving like a one night stand. All it takes is the right place, the right time, and the right plan, like a black on black crime, orchestrated by the white man. I wanna convince everybody who don't believe that I can bob and weave, ducking and dodging bullets like Keanu Reeves. Cause I'm the one that'll make any woman skeeve, suck my dick and swallow my cum just to see if she'll conceive. I don't gotta be gang related to tell you the shit is really what's happening. You can call me the Latin king of this rapping thing. Even if you rap and sing, motherfucker, keep on practicing. I'm on the road to fame and glory, packing more guns than coal. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest, the biggest, the baddest, the sickest, the fattest. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest that ever did it, the hottest that ever spit it. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest, the biggest, the baddest, the sickest, the fattest. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest that ever did it, the hottest that ever spit it. Yeah, I wanna be the definition of divine, something that the dictionary can never define. Having people sniffing every time I cut a line. Book 50 on your face, how you like my new design? I wanna speak for the deaf, see for the blind, and think for the mind. Getting better than every rapper, spitting one lyric at a time. I got what you never had, motherfucker. You's a sad motherfucker. You mad, motherfucker? I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest, the biggest, the baddest, the sickest, the fattest. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest that ever did it, the hottest that ever spit it. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest, the biggest, the baddest, the sickest, the fattest, I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest that ever did it, the hottest that ever spit. I'm a bad motherfucker.
I hear you've been sleeping with my wife.
I'm a bad motherfucker.
Earl, this is fucking crazy.
I'm a bad
I don't think
motherfucker.
you appreciate the seriousness of this conversation.
I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest that ever did it, the hottest that ever spit. I'm a bad motherfucker.
Hey, welcome back to the Soaked Up TV series show. And once again, we got the talented, smooth brother Nathan Pearson here at the Soaked Up TV series. I'm your host, Dirty Promessa, and we'd like to thank everybody for watching the show. Thank you very much. So, Nathan Pearson, Nathan P. We're gonna stick with Nathan P. I just got a little history about from 76 to 82, because you was turning about 18 years old around that time. How much did you follow for the Black Panthers then?
A lot of that came after the fact, older, and started doing some research.
Right.
But then realizing, recognizing what it is that they do and how they affected the community in different ways.
Right.
And then beginning to see the beginnings of propaganda, how certain things were presented a certain way to give a negative light, but in fact it's something that's very positive.
True, true. In 82, that's when the crack cocaine came out, and it affected all our communities, especially our community, the black population, Hispanic, and but that time, man, it just was really hectic. I can recall some of it, how it affected my family, and how it affected other families, and just the killing and the loss of lives because of the unknowledge of the drug. So all I have is, I'm gonna read a little statement that I found out, and it was basically, what was found out was crack cocaine came about once coke dealers resorted to adding sodium bicarbonate or ammonia to the powder, that this made it more volatile. The birth of crack presented in our barrels in 81. In 1905, where African American laborers were blamed for pretty much every crime, the media seized the stats and started disseminating hysteria, and much of it was aimed at poor African Americans living in inner cities. There seemed to be a bit of a pattern of that going on as we speak of today. But we going back to the crack era, like, how bad was it those times?
During those times, it was very bad with the image of the crackhead, fiending, Jones, you know, ripping off your own family members and getting money for a hit.
Right.
Now, in my immediate circle, we weren't affected by it physically because I didn't do drugs, my sister didn't do that. I know one thing that turned me off completely. I remember it had to be in the early 80s, but Gil Noble, who used to be a television correspondent for Channel 7, he had a TV show called Like It Is.
Right.
And I remember one episode, he was looking at the heroin dens up in Harlem. And it had cats shooting up in their thighs, shooting up in their groin. And I'm like, if that's what they used to do drugs, I don't want to be a part of that.
Right.
You know, teenage years experimented with a little herb here and there, but never was geared toward the hardcore drug.
Was you ever close to, sorry to cut you off, was you ever, you seen the money that the dealers were making, was you ever try, like, did you ever feel like, I want to make a fast buck or anything like that?
That wasn't on my radar.
No.
You know, because the way I grew up and was taught, you know, we had what we needed, our parents took care of us very well, and I wasn't attracted to that fast lifestyle. Plus, I was very shy growing up, so I didn't interact with a lot of people. So I really wasn't aware of who was doing this and who was doing that and running in that circle. So it never drew me that way. But I do remember one thing particularly.
Share it
It
with
was
us.
in the late 80s, and I was heading toward, it was either heading toward school or the work job I had at the time, but there was a Wendy's parking lot, or Wendy's restaurant near my
One of
house.
my favorite
Like Speed.
restaurants.
I'll never forget, it was the current model Mercedes-Benz in the parking lot, door open, the cat was wearing the popular Bally's type sweatsuit,
Bally's was the thing.
two to the head cocked to the side. And seeing that live and in person, I was like, yo, that ain't the lifestyle for me.
Oh,
Privacy.
wow.
Yeah.
And that was out in Brooklyn?
Right in Brooklyn.
Right in Brooklyn.
Empire Boulevard. So just by being able to see those things from the next step over, just reinforce that that's not the life for you.
I understand. I'll share a little moment with you. My father passed away of basically ruining his life because of the unknowledge of the drugs at the time, the heroin especially. I lost my father about 5 years ago. But he did he tried to clean himself up, but before he passed, he found God. So I was really affected as a kid. I used to see my dad rob and steal my grandmother, who I passionately love. But at the time as a kid, I didn't really notice it so much until I got older. Yeah, so I know one firsthand family members that were on crack cocaine, and basically it tore apart many families and many friendships, and many good guys who just got sucked in to that. I want to make a dollar bill and I want to have the fanciest clothes and the fanciest cars. So on me, like, I really know how bad it really hit. So I just wanted to know a little something on that. But since you stood away that, I think basically you was a fair, honest man. So what was one of the first jobs you ever worked?
And that's funny when you say fair, honest man. First job I worked, I think I was about 17. It was a shoe store in downtown Brooklyn. It sold women's shoes.
Yes.
And it was started in the summer. And I'm cracking up and say, fair, honest man. I got fired from the job because I failed a lie detector test because there was a lot of theft of inventory. Basically what went down, they used to pay us by commission, but if the commissions were late, myself and another cashier and a salesperson decided, well, we'll make our own commission.
Right.
So the shoes were $19.99. So I sold it to you for $20. I won't charge you any tax. $20 in our pocket. But when the inventory started dropping, they had everybody take lie detector tests.
You mean the real lie detector?
Yeah,
like
you went to an office up in Manhattan.
You think that would be illegal now these days?
I don't know, but when you're 17, you go for anything.
Exactly.
Do you know if anybody's stealing?
No.
You do what you tell? No. And they never outright fired me, but every time I called to see if I was on the schedule, they'd say, no, we don't have hours this week. After about 4 weeks, I got the message.
Sound like my Applebee job. I don't mean to shout them out, but sound familiar.
Yeah.
So what was one of the best jobs you worked?
Oh man, it's hard to label one as the best because each thing added something different. I guess overall, we'll put it this way, I had 2 major careers, about 10 years in upper retail management and then 10 years in social services. I think the social services was the best in my area because it moved away from helping a business grow their profits to helping people grow. And at the time I moved into social services, it coincided with, it was in 2000, it coincided with me discovering spoken word. And it also coincided with the health issues I started going through, meaning lupus. And all three just meshed to create the person that became Nathan P. and the message he gave forth in the poetry, the encouragement I would give to individuals as a host, and of course working in social services and just helping people overcome those challenges.
Okay. Yeah. So what was the last job that you worked?
Well, currently I work with the city.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd be a retired man right now.
Don't let the grade fool you. I got a little ways to go. But where I am now is totally different from my past, so that's been an adjustment. But it's also added new growth in terms of just the mental thought process.
Okay. All right. So you answered my other question. I was going to ask you if you retired, and do you do a lot of traveling?
Not as much in recent years. I mean, I've been a lot of spots around the world. I've been to Europe and London twice, been to France.
You just came back from Las Vegas, right? Las Vegas, Atlantic City?
Well, that was 2 years ago. My niece and my sister surprised me with a trip to
time
Vegas.
goes fast. It just seemed like it was yesterday. It did.
That was 2 years ago for my 50th.
Oh, you had fun. I'm sure you had fun.
We had a blast.
Okay. So we'll be right back after these commercials with Nathan P. Welcome to all my fans of the Salter TV series show. I'm Dirty Promessa, your host, and today we have featuring Nathan P, best known from the Inspired Word, and a great friend, Brooklyn Night, all the way. We're here, having it up, getting some good meals in, and talking, as we always do in the Salter TV show.
What's up, people? Yes, I'm Nathan P, and I'm very happy to be here tonight with my main man, Dirty Promessa, Sota TV. If you don't know, you need to find out, because this is the place you want to be. Thank you.
If any singers, rappers, poets, dancers, painters, or anyone who'd like to be interviewed by Takeover Promotion be finding interesting, please submit your bio into one of these emails or social networks. Thank you very much. Takeover Promotions.
I'm your host, Nathan P. But tonight, it's a very special night. You know how they say the early bird gets the worm? Well, the early cats are going to get an exclusive feature set from this dynamic hip-hop artist from the Boogie Down Bronx. Yeah. He is no stranger to the inspired word. Performs here regularly, and last year did a feature set at Tammany Hall in the Lower East Side. And he's definitely the type of performer that leaves it all on stage, from his heart to his sweat. More important than that, he's a dynamic performer, dynamic person, here to represent the corporate takeover. So what I need you to do, as we kick off the night, start picking up the energy, which means clap like crazy, as we welcome to the stage, from the Boogie Down Bronx, the Dirty Promessa.
How everybody doing out there? Welcome back to the Sota TV series. Sota TV series, the acronym for supporting other talented artists. And right now, we have Nathan P as our featured talent today on the show. And we're out of location, out in Manhattan, somewhere on downtown, and we're eating out. As you can see, we have some wonderful meals together, great food. And
But before you go further, I just want to offer some clarity. Because in the last segment, I talked about stealing from the shoe store. But it became the foundation for a great career in retail. Because ultimately, I was one of the investigators in loss prevention that would investigate employee
that's a
theft.
job I want, man. So now that's a job I want. I want that one.
So since I used to steal, I knew how the mindset works, so it helped me bust the thief.
That's how hey. That's why I guess I don't know. But we got that. Thank you for sharing that, Nathan P.
My pleasure.
You know what I'm saying? So before we went into commercial, you were talking about your illness and the lupus and health and medical. Basically, in 2001, you found out. You was found out that you was suffering. What brought it on for you to finally get checked out?
In 2001, I started showing the first signs of what was diagnosed eventually as lupus.
And what's one of the signs? I heard some of the signs are fatigue, stiffness in the joints, fever, muscle pain, hair loss.
But lupus in and of itself is like the ultimate immune system. Your immune system is so active that the body actually fights itself. And it primarily affects women, primarily African American women, or black as I like to say.
Right.
Very rare in men, so I'm always setting records and trends.
Oh, okay, so you just, for real? It's rare in men?
Like 1 in 10 lupus patients are male.
Oh, okay.
And in 2010, I started one day just had this excruciating knee pain. I mean, it's like it was killing. And part of the condition is rheumatoid arthritis or joint pain. So through a series of tests, back and forth, it was originally diagnosed as misconnected tissue disease, where the tissues that connect your joints are inflamed or damaged. But before it was formally diagnosed, 2001, the summer was a very, very harrowing time that really cemented the last piece of the coup that I always carried. Because from March 10th to July 2nd, there were 3 health episodes in which I literally almost checked out. That was a span of 40 days. It started with a ruptured appendix that I didn't know was ruptured. And I almost put off going to the hospital. I put it off.
Because we all men, right?
I'll wait till the pain dies down, but I would have died. And then in the aftermath of the surgery,
Who got you to go? Somebody pushed you? Because I know
pain in my
somebody.
stomach.
That's it. Oh, you actually said you actually
The patient
listened to
said,
it.
wait, I'm laying on my couch, said you made the appointment, and she was squeezing you in, so you should go. And I said, okay. But then afterwards, I gotta go to work because I'm dedicated. So I reached into my closet, pull out a suit and a shirt, didn't press anything, put it on because I'm going to work afterwards. I was wrinkled, hot mess. But I never made it to the job because they admitted me and found out the appendix had ruptured.
Right.
And in the aftermath of the surgery, there were complications where I dropped to 99 pounds. And I had 2 separate cardiac episodes over that course of time, where at rest, my heart was beating at 180 minutes per beat, 180 beats per minute. Where at rest, it should be like 65.
So that's almost on the verge of exploding?
Well,
188
the top chambers were beating, the bottom chambers were just quivering. And if I didn't get there in time to have like a certain electric treatment, they could have checked out.
Did you go on? Did you get unconscious at the time? Or?
No, I was sitting. I remember I was sitting in my living room, and just felt like my heart was leaping out my chest. And I called my boy, and he came and drove me up to the hospital. They said, "Whoa, they had to do some type of medication where they inject this thing that feels like heat. It feels like you're on a roller coaster ride to try to stabilize you. And then you put into the cardiac ward. I was wearing like a heart monitor. I was in the ward where the average patient was like 80 years old. You know, I was cracking up at some of the things I saw in the midst of my condition, but always found it human.
Right.
But that happened twice in that span, and just in the nick of time. So after that, I'm like, if I've been through this, can nothing else faze me. Ain't nothing else that serious. And that's what brought into that last bit of persona of the cool, was like, hey, it doesn't faze me, it doesn't bother me, because I've been through so much.
But in your time sitting, how long was you admitted for in the hospital? How long were you admitted for?
At that time, it was 3 stays that totaled up to 40 days. 2 of the stays were 2 weeks consecutive.
Okay.
So I remember it was May 10th, because I had to do a show that day, and I couldn't make the show through July 2nd. You know, those dates are seared in my mind.
So what was going through your mind? You're trying to go to a show. You want to go to a show, but you can't. You're sitting in the hospital. What was going through your mind when family, friends, they encouraged you and stuff like that when they came to see you?
Well, definitely got the encouragement from family and friends. And also what's going through your mind is that I guess it was one of the first impacts of, okay, you're not invincible. You know, because I was still young.
Yeah.
It was in my early 30s. You know, when you're growing up, you think, oh, nothing's going to change. I'm not going to age. I'm not going to this. I'm not going to that. You're like, whoa. And then when people would say, well, why me? Why me? I started saying, why not me? You know, anything can happen to you at any time. And so it became that type of awakening and that type of realization that, okay, I am me.
Was life moving? Because you started doing shows. Was life moving fast for you? And that just was like, it was like, I guess, the father telling you it's time to take a little time out and relax. I'm sorry to do it this way, but you need to relax a little.
I never looked at it like that because I really wasn't running like a hectic lifestyle here, there, everywhere. You know, I just looked at it more like the luck of the draw. You know, but there's ways to deal with it. You know, in 2010, I had that was another rough year with a series of setbacks. Lost my job, had major health issues that put me in the hospital 5 times that year. Plus repeated emergency room visits and a whole lot of conditions going on. And when I asked the doctor, my sister said, ask him if you have lupus. And I asked him, I said, I have it. Do I think, no, should you test me for lupus? He said, test you have it. And when he said that, I felt good. As strange as it may sound, because I'm like, oh, okay, there is something wrong with me. Now,
when they first told you, did you know the definition of lupus, or you had to look it up and?
I heard of it, but I didn't know it too deeply. But like I have family members that have it. But when he said it, it was like a relief. Like, this is not my imagination. There is something going on. And I always believe if you know what the problem is, then you can address the solution. So it was a breath of fresh air when he told me.
Did you have to, when you found out, did you change your habits in eating? Slowly?
Old habits are hard to break.
You have to you stood away from the salt, because I know salt is one of our major killers, man. That people don't, it's like unforbidden to talk about, but salt is a killer.
Well, so much staying away from salt as I looked at this grilled pork chop and these mashed potatoes and asparagus. But less stress, more rest, and definite changes in the diet that would add, benefits to your physical health.
What type of exercise can you do then without overstraining yourself?
My favorite thing is walking. That's trying to walk as much as possible. And then just, regular old-fashioned push-ups, some squats, some sit-ups, some crunches.
In the early beginning, how did it affect your activities of your day-to-day living?
The pain was so intense. Almost nobody would know it, but during this time is when I started hosting at the New Weekend Poets Cafe, the Wednesday Night Slam, from 2000 2007. And the first symptoms started in 2001. The pain would be so intense. At the time I was working in social services. Sitting in my office, I'm dying. Walking to the classroom, I'm dying. Going to the class to do a workshop, I'm on fire from the energy. Finish the workshop, going back to my office, I'm dying. Wednesday night, to get to the New York on the train, I get off the train, I gotta sit on the bench at the subway station, I'm dying. That 10-minute walk from the subway to the New York would take 25 minutes.
Right.
Hit the stage, I'm on fire, I'm loving it. Show is over, gotta go back home, I'm dying.
You was doing the show like every week, every Wednesday?
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, consistent.
And the act of being in front of an audience, whether it was in a workshop or whether it was on stage, it fed me. And one of the taglines that was associated with me was keep that energy going or pick up the energy.
Right, yeah.
Remember to start picking up the energy? But that was my way of saying to the audience, feed me, because I need that right now. It wasn't about the other performance, it's about me. And that energy was amazing. It got me through those years. Nobody ever knew.
And we'll be right back with Nathan P. Hi, Sin. I take over promotions. Welcome to Soca. How everybody doing out there, and welcome back. I'm your host, Dirty Promessa. This is the Soul.TV series. It stands as an acronym for supporting other talented artists. And right now, I'm sitting down across from me is Nathan P. I met him at the Inspired Word, Brooklyn bred, Brooklyn born. Right now, he's out of Bed-Stuy. And I'm just thankful that I have the opportunity to sit down and have a wonderful meal with this gentleman as we talk amongst men and get to know a little more about him. And I'd like to say thank you again for being here.
My pleasure.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
So, your favorite artist.
Indeed.
It's well known in the Inspired Word family that your favorite artist is Prince.
Yes, indeed.
Am I correct? I did a little bio on Prince, man. A lot of things that I just learned. Got a little notation on Prince. So, basically, Prince born 1958. Same year you told me as Michael Jackson.
And Madonna.
And Madonna. Okay. And also he released Why You Wanna Treat Me So Bad, a song I never heard. I didn't even know about that. That's his first release. And then he dropped I Wanted to Be Your Lover in 1979. But Prince, if you didn't know, Prince didn't make it mainstream like Michael Jackson did until he released his song 1999, which I think every American or everybody who ever came to America know that song. Then also he dropped 2 more singles called Little Red Corvette.
Yeah.
I didn't get to hear that one. How was that to you, Little Corvette?
Good Lord, man, you out to you.
Yeah. I didn't catch Prince until Purple Rain. That's when I found Prince. You know, like I liked the movie. I started with me liking Prince and started first liking the movie and stuff like that. And then he also had a song as well called Delirious. Never heard that one either.
Well, I really first got deep into it with Purple Rain, but then I did the backtrack.
Okay.
And started listening to the older ones. But many reasons why I did it. One, because he's an amazing performer on stage.
Yes, he is.
Amazing songwriter. And every album that came out at that moment, there was always a song on the album that related to what I was going through personally, so I could relate to that. But then ultimately, just his style of cool. I'm going to be me, do what I want to do, and draw people to me. You know, so I was always impressed by that. And then being the cat, that's only 5'6" and a quarter. It was a couple of years ago I gave up on the idea I might make 6+.
Right.
You know, 215 built.
Right.
But to see this little cat, 5'3", you know, a little waif of a man, but have everybody and all the women attracted to him. So
Right.
just
He
gotta be
had his
cool
fair,
too.
he had his fair share.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were publicly, I mean, they all on his movies. If they wasn't in his movies, it was in his videos. So.
Or his band.
On his band. And that leads on to the band. He featured his band, a new band called The Revolution, was his first band, in which The Revolution had a cameo in the epic movie Purple Rain in 1984.
Worst day in the time.
And as well as known in Purple Rain that his father, his real name is Prince Nelson, contributed to the albums by co-writing and each credit to several more albums of Prince as to date. In 1990, Prince released a sequel to Purple Rain called Graffiti Bridge. Are you fond of Graffiti Bridge?
Not as a sequel.
Yeah.
If it was presented as a standalone movie, it would have been more enjoyable.
Right.
Because it really didn't tie into the strong storyline of Purple Rain.
It did it because you know why? It was actually a soundtrack album that it really was for the movie.
Right.
So he wanted to do like what Michael Jackson did with Disney, but that when he made his own movie, he did his own thing. That's why. And did you see the movie? And was it as good as Purple Rain in your own judgment?
Not to be called the sequel, it would be awful. But just as a standalone, eccentric style movie, it's enjoyable.
I have no fond memory of it, but I know it was nothing like Purple Rain. Purple Rain was just dynamic from beginning to end with Morris Day and everybody was doing that, get my mirror. That was the coolest thing. And you know Morris Day helped them, right? Morris Day actually helped them get along as well. Or I think Prince helped Morris Day.
He created all those bands.
All those bands out there, right?
Produced them all.
And he was from Minnesota. That's
Minneapolis,
yeah. You don't know too many, like we don't know other than Prince. I don't know other than Prince in Minnesota dishing out anybody as successful as Prince did. And I guess because of the cold weather or something.
Go outside, stay inside, and be creative.
Well, I just also want to ask, have you ever got a chance to see Prince at
17
concert?
times.
17?
Yeah. That's the number on top of my head, 17 times.
17 times? And where are some of the places you saw him?
Oh man, at the Garden, at the Palladium, caught a free show at Bryant Park a couple of years ago.
Yeah, they do be doing that.
Yeah, like for Good Morning America.
Right.
17 times.
17 times a day.
And there's a couple of the concerts, I got tickets for multiple nights, and no two shows are the same.
Okay.
You know, and that's something else that influenced me as a host, is vibing in the moment. Because he's a real musician, whatever the crowd is feeling or giving him, he can switch gears like that.
Right.
And as a host, you got to vibe in the moment.
You do.
Whatever this performer did, you know, like Dirty Promessa, boom, I still remember the boom.
Thank you.
That gives me something to run with and, you know, take it to the next level.
Yes.
You know, so, corporate takeover.
Boom. That was Corporate Code sung with Boom Boom, Jessica Hernandez. It's a nice song. I still have it. I still play. I still do the routines of the song as much as it. But I'm moving on to other songs as well. But, you know. But sticking with your favorite artists, man. A little more. I got a little more thing. Then in 1901, Prince released it, with his new band, New Power Generation. Which those was a Diamonds and Pearls. He put together that song with that new band of New Power Generation. How good was that song to you, Diamonds and Pearls? Because that's one of my favorites. That one cemented me loving Prince. Diamonds and Pearls was beautifully sung. It touches me even to this day. And even as I looked up the information, I had to play the song again.
It's a beautiful ballad.
Yeah.
And the thing about Prince, it's the difference between being an artist and a performer. A performer gets locked in their ways. As much as I like and love Michael Jackson, a performer, because after a certain point, all the concerts were basically the same show.
Right.
Prince, an artist, every time out he recreates himself, goes in a different direction. You know, you may not appreciate as a fan, but this is what I'm doing.
Right.
And that what allows him to be so relevant on the scene right now.
Okay. Have you ever dressed up like Prince for Halloween or just casually?
I hosted the New Eurekan Friday Night Slam Halloween. I think it was 2005, but it was a Halloween night. I had the full lace pants, ruffle shirt. I had a veil draped over the fedora, and I had the boots. And that's how I hosted that night.
Let's make this our last question. How about your favorite artist before we move on to Flash Flash? Why do you think Americans made Michael Jackson and Prince made it seem like it was a rival thing between the artists?
That's always the case when you have performers or athletes, especially if they're black.
Right.
You want to be the comparison. This is the new such and such. This is the new such and such. Or this one's better than that one. Everybody wants to generate controversy just to sell records. You know, just like battle raps. You know, when back in the day, the battles were just a lot of fun, like Cold Crush versus Fantastic Five,
right.
Kumo D versus Busy Bee Starsky.
Right.
You know, but nowadays it's like threat this, threat that, this, that. It's a whole different animal.
It is. Last question, and I knew I said it last question. Do you ever try your hand at breakdancing?
No, because I know how to stay in my lane, but I still got my Techniques SLD 100s sitting in my room on the top of a bookshelf. In my Gemini mixer. I was a DJ.
Oh, you was a DJ?
Yeah, and I got like much vinyl at the breaks.
Oh.
Yeah, so I wasn't a dancer. Back then, I definitely wasn't a rapper. That's why people are surprised when I do poetry now, because I was still quiet.
Yeah.
But I could cut it up. No laptop.
Right.
No DVD player.
Ain't no app.
12-inch vinyl. The diamond tip needle with the penny sitting on top.
Yeah. He took it there.
You come with that, you got a battle on your hands.
And with that, we're going to go back to a commercial. We'll be right back with Nathan P. and the Fast Flash with Sid.
If any singers, rappers, poets, dancers, painters, or anyone who would like to be interviewed by Takeover Promotion we find it interesting, please submit your bio into one of these emails or social networks. Thank you very much. Takeover Promotions.
We do have with us today Nathan P. He just spoke with Dirty Promessa, asked him some questions, gave him some answers. So this is my part of the show called Fast Flash.
Okay.
Okay? It's where I ask you 10 quick questions and I just want you to give me the first thing that pops to your mind.
Cool.
Gotcha?
Gotcha.
Alright. So, you're not afraid, are you?
No.
You're not scared?
Not
Because
scared, not
sometimes I go a little further.
I'm ready.
Okay. Alright. Alright. So, Nathan P. Daisy Dukes or thongs?
Thongs.
Thongs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. Have you ever stopped and noticed how many butts there are in the world?
Yes,
you
I
ever
have.
just thought about that? If you could have any one mode of transportation from anywhere, past, present, future, real, fake, what would it be?
1986 Jaguar XJS.
Awesome. I actually had a Jaguar.
I did too. It was a 94.
Yeah, mine was a 96, I believe.
Okay.
I only had it for a little bit. A friend of mine gave it to me. Let's see. If you could change one thing about the world, what would it be? I know it's not fedoras.
No, you gotta have fedoras.
Got a matching fedora.
Lies and propaganda in the media.
Lies on the media. That's a big one.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I would probably do the same thing, or the government. Let's see. Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali?
Oh, the greatest. Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, okay. Did you watch the Pacquiao and
No, I didn't.
Mayweather? No? You're not about...
But the last time I was into boxing was during the tail end of Tyson's career.
Before or after you bit off his ear?
Oh, right around that time.
Okay, and then you were done.
Bit off more than you can chew.
Yeah, after that, boxing was kind of just, a little low-keyer. If you could choose someone's fame to endure, would it be Michael Jackson or Prince?
Prince.
Prince?
Because Michael became a prisoner of his fame and a prisoner of his image.
Right.
Prince enjoys the fame, but he still lives his life.
And he's still living.
And
He's still going. Right. What is your favorite song?
Ballad, Purple Rain, Up Tempo, and Doves Cry.
Dubs Cry is my favorite by Prince. Let's see. Would you rather rock an Afro puff or be a dreadlock master?
Well, being that I have locks, this is the third time around. But back in the day, I used to have a Forster Silver size afro. It was bigger than Mike's. And it was so soft, I used to use hairspray because it would blow in the wind. But now I just stick with the locks.
So you like the locks now, but back in the day, maybe it was...
Oh, it was the fro. It was the fro.
Got you. Let's see. If you were offered a contract to travel and get paid ducats of cash, but you could no longer see your immediate family, would you sign the contract?
No.
No?
Family's more important than money.
Even in your later age, you don't feel like you need to go travel or do anything extravagant? Not at that cost.
I've done a lot of traveling through my lifetime, but I've learned, because I've had different levels of jobs and different levels of pay. It's not how much you make, but it's what you do with it. You know, but family is the more important thing. So no, I wouldn't take that on.
You do it on your own.
Yeah.
Right. There's a saying. We keep it moving by putting your left foot over what?
Over the turnstile? No.
Okay.
I've never heard that saying.
Sometimes we have to, you know, short days, we're short on money. The actual...
I've never heard that quote.
You know, it's funny, I don't think I did either, but actually Promessa gave me this one, and I got the answer right. It was putting your left over your right.
Okay.
It just made sense, you know, feet walking forward, left, right.
Sounds like the old Christmas special, like Santa Claus coming to town with the heat miser. And they had that one cat, put one foot in front of the other, so you walked across the floor. I'm getting myself, you know that.
No, I do.
Okay.
I'm not that young, believe me. There is one more question I know. Well, let's see where it is. I know what it is.
Yeah.
Which show are you on?
I am on SOTA, supporting other talented artists, produced and created by the fantastic Dirty Promessa. Yeah. And my Wonder Twin Fedora twin right here, Sin. And Sin's daughter, I forgot your name. Haley, who's been doing a heck of a job producing, keeping us on track with time. And the cameraman, thumbs up, Pierre. So this is a show to be on if you're an artist, up and coming artist, and you just want excellent exposure and be vibing around good people. SOTA. There's no better way. SOTA.
Thank you very much for answering my questions. Thank you for coming out. Pleasure meeting you. So glad we could have a matching meeting.
Yo, this is my boy LAV, man, coming and supporting the Takeover Promotion brand, man. And he about to introduce you to his new video out.
It's called Bad Motherfucker.
Bad Motherfucker.
And yo, you're gonna watch this shit and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? You're gonna see it. That's it. You're gonna see it.
LAV, baby. Cool motherfucker. Takeover Promotion, baby.
Take over, son. Wow, take the fuck over.
Yeah, it's LAV.
One bad motherfucker.
Check it. I wanna kill Father Time, I wanna rape Mother Earth. I wanna fuck a pregnant bitch right before she gives birth. I wanna poke the baby in the head and make the water burst. For what it's worth, I just wanna make situations worse. I wanna be dressed in white while I'm driving around in a black hearse. Run over the next bitch nigga that I see spit in a wet verse. I wanna rape a virgin just so I can say that I was her first. Walk with a lip and pull out the biscuit on Fred Durst. I spit witchcraft, everything I say is a curse. Unrehearsed, I just wanna say whatever fucking works. I wanna be the reason for your non-existence. I wanna shoot you while I'm on the phone. Long distance or up close, it'll make a difference. Cause one minute you're here, the next you'll be gone in an instant. Fact or fiction, I'll cause you an affliction. I spit so dope, it'll probably cause you an addiction. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest, the biggest, the baddest, the sickest, the fattest. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest that ever did it, the hottest that ever spit it. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest, the biggest, the baddest, the sickest, the fattest. I'm a bad motherfucker. I wanna be the illest, the realest that ever did it, the hottest that ever spit. I wanna kill a woman's husband, I wanna fuck somebody's wife, I wanna wreck someone's home, I wanna destroy somebody's life. I wanna give a woman equal rights, let her be the man, because that means I can beat her the same way I'll beat a man. I wanna clock a random nigga with just one right hand, poke the bitch and keep it moving like a one night stand. All it takes is the right place, the right time, and the right plan, like a black on black crime, orchestrated by the white man. That's me. I wanna convince everybody who don't believe that I can bob and weave, ducking and dodging bullets like Keanu Reeves, cause I'm the one that'll make any woman skeeve, suck my dick and swallow my cum just to see if she'll conceive. I ain't gotta be gang related to tell you the shit is really what's happening. You can call me the Latin King of this rapping thing.